The following program is a special presentation of Cleveland Community College.
Welcome to the C19 TV studios on the campus of Cleveland Community College for the 2022 Candidates Forum for the Cleveland County Commission primary. I'm Mike Philbeck.
And I'm Christine Cribb. Tonight you will hear from 4 candidates vying for 2 seats. There is no Democratic primary. Of these 4, you can vote for up to 2, provided that you are registered as a Republican or unaffiliated in accordance with North Carolina law.
Tonight's forum is sponsored by Cleveland Community College, C19 TV, the Cleveland County Chamber, and the Star. The forum sponsors wish to thank the candidates who are participating in this event. The questions were developed by a committee representing forum sponsors and were not made available to the candidates prior to the forum.
Minutes ago, each candidate selected a random number to determine the order of the candidates' responses during tonight's event.
With each question, we will announce the amount of time given to answer. At the end of the show, each candidate will be given up to 1 minute to make a closing statement. When 30 seconds of response time remains, the timer will hold up a yellow card. At the end of the allotted time, the timer will hold up a stop card. Candidates may complete a sentence. However, we will, in fairness to all candidates, interrupt a candidate if they do not stop speaking quickly.
We now ask that our candidates turn off their cell phones and the audience silence their phones. Please refrain from any response or applause until the conclusion of the forum. This forum is being broadcast live and is being recorded by the students in broadcasting program at Cleveland Community College. Rebroadcasts for the forum may be viewed on Spectrum Cable Channel 19 and online at www.c19.tv. So let's get started.
Candidates, this is the first question. What do you see as the role of the county manager, the commission board as a whole, and yourself as an individual commissioner in Cleveland County's form of government? You may use up to 90 seconds to respond. Questioning will begin with Mallory Thompson, followed by David White, and so forth.
The Board of County Commissioners, we really have the general responsibility to conduct the business of the county government. And within that, it is our responsibility to pass ordinances, resolutions, and kind of continue other order and establishment of policy. As the county manager's role is to execute the day-to-day business of the county, managing all employees and departments. County Commissioners Board as a whole, we're responsible for adopting budgets, establishing annual property taxes, determining levels of local and current funding, regulating land use and zoning outside municipalities, and also really working with each other as a team. As an individual commissioner, if elected, my role would be to work with the other 4 commissioners to really make sure we're adopting policy that represents the voice of all Cleveland County. I think it's really important that we do that, not just Shelby, but all Cleveland County.
Mr. White.
Yes, being a county commissioner to me is very important. I've always felt it is fair. I always want to be honest with the people, and I want to be straight with the people. A county commissioner, his responsibility is to talk with the county manager, to make sure everything is done accordingly, and to be peaceful with each other and agree to disagree. I have been on city council for 11 years, and we have had a great city council, and I would love to see the county commission that I'm on, and I'm not saying they're not now, but I would love to see the same relationships we got. The county, the commissioners have different municipalities and different mayors around, and I've talked to a lot of them. And there's one thing that I want to see everybody get along. That's really good. I might not be answering your question like you want it, but I'm telling what I think. But anyway, the city council has wards. Our city wards get along great, and I want to see that continue with the county commissioner.
Ms. Harden?
Our county manager, along with the day-to-day business of the county and being over all the employees, also reports to us of things that are going on. And we also can talk to him about things that we hear from the citizens. We do everything from the ordinances to public safety to citizens engagement to community wellness to economic development. And it is important for all of us to get along but still combine all our different ideas and thoughts so that we can come up with the best solutions for what is best for the county. My role, I think, is to be there for the citizens, to represent them, to always be there to answer questions when needed, and then to take what they want for the community to the rest of the commissioners and present that.
Mr. Bridges?
I see the role of the manager as just running the day-to-day operation of the county, human resources, take the department heads answer to him, and just hopefully running a smooth government. The board makes the policies, and we direct the staff in which areas we want to go, setting policy, being fiduciaries of your money, making sure we're not wasting your money, and as we spending on all the different, we have, of course, public safety, the sheriff's department, EMS. We spend a lot of your money, and we need to do that fairly. But as a individual commissioner, I see my role as maybe being a liaison between the public and the staff. My whole life has been in customer service, and I feel like when you make a phone call to someone in your government, you need to get an answer in it as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 2. If elected, can you briefly explain up to 3 priorities for county government that you would have as a commissioner? You may use up to 90 seconds to respond, and we will begin this question with David White, who will be followed by Deb Harden.
One of the main responsibilities of the county commissioner and the city and everyone is infrastructure. The city and the county for years have gotten along. Several years ago, about 10 or 11 years ago, we opened up with the county Foothills Commerce Center. We have built we're on our 4th shell building now. We have brought clear water to Cleveland County, and with the help of the county. And that is the relationship I'm talking about, wanting to have with all people, with all the municipalities. I think, Clearwater, $320 million, and then they spent another $320 million. And places like this, they bring high-paying jobs. They bring so much to the city and to the county for income, taxes, etc.
Thank you. And Deb Harden?
Okay, so I think 3 of the things that would be my goal, first and foremost, would be public safety. I think always backing our sheriff's department. It's very important to keep our citizens safe. EMS, as we're expanding and adding ambulances and more coverage, to be able to provide better service for our people. I think also citizen engagement. everything from maybe affordable housing studies for people that need places to live, from job training through programs like Accelerate Cleveland County, telemedicine in our school, help for our veterans, making it a better community. And then, of course, always economic development. The partnerships with the city to do the shell buildings have been great. It's brought good companies, great paying jobs to Cleveland County. I personally would like to see us expand and try to attract some companies from all areas that would be both manufacturing, be both blue and white collar jobs. Thank you.
And Mr. Bridges.
I think probably the most important thing is public safety. We attempt to give our sheriff all the tools he needs to keep us safe, along with the EMS, of course. When you get that emergency, we need to be able to take care of it and take care of it quickly. Another thing would be the economic development. We still have a long way to go to get the wages in our county up to where they need to be. Over a third of our children are living in poverty, and the way to combat that is to with economic development and bring more and better paying jobs. And I think the third thing would be community wellness. We're 81st out of 100 in the state in health of our citizens, and that's 3 better than we were just a couple of years ago. But we need to keep working on making our citizens healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mallory Thompson?
If elected, 3 priorities that I would have as a commissioner. I think it starts with economic development. We really need to invest back into our people, into our small and mid-sized businesses, and really increase our household income, not only just the individual, but our whole household income. By investing in our economic development, we turn that dollar back into our own pocket, back into the county, and we can do that through some of the existing educational programs that we have. And that would be priority number 2, is to strengthen what the community college is offering by connecting our high school juniors and seniors specifically to community college courses, and make sure that those students have the opportunity to get the education that they can early and with less debt, and put them into a high-skilled labor job and keep them within the county. And thirdly is really focusing on long-term planning. I think as a commissioner, it's our responsibility to use those dollars adequately from a long-term perspective of ensuring our infrastructure. And if we can do these 3 things, we can really make sure that our law enforcement, our police officers, our fire departments have the tools and skills that they need in order to make our community safe, and we can also support our teachers better in the classroom if we increase our economic development base.
Thank you very much. 2021 was a tax reevaluation year in Cleveland County, which makes setting a new tax rate somewhat more of a challenge. Commissioners lowered the county tax rate in 2021 from 57 cents per $100 tax valuation to 54.75 cents per $100. This was done to meet the state's so-called revenue neutral formula that local governments are required to post but not meet. Well, this year's not a reevaluation year, it's an ordinary year, and so I think our citizens would be interested in knowing under what circumstances, if any, would you vote to raise property taxes? You have 60 seconds on this question. We begin with Deb Harden.
Well, since I was part of the ones that lowered them, I am hoping we do not have to raise them. I think there could be circumstances where it would have to be. If it would involve anything to protect our citizens, as far as through the public safety and all. But I think our goal is to try to keep the taxes stable and, if possible, lower them. Unfortunately, we may be looking at another reval the way the property is going now, but only time will tell with that. But my hope is not to, unless it's a situation that's pertaining to safety or the welfare of our citizens.
Mr. Bridges?
I would never say never, but I hope we would never have to raise taxes, because I do feel like we have a good manager system. We have a manager who is very good with numbers. I do know that right now we several years ago, raised the fire tax in order to have people in all of our fire departments during the day, 5 days a week. And to really make our citizens safe, we need somebody there even at night, maybe just one person to spend the night there and get a truck out very quickly if possible. And but hopefully we wouldn't have to raise taxes to do that, but I see something in that in the future, and services do cost money. Thank you.
Ms. Thompson?
40% of our county's revenue comes from property taxes. And so I think we really need to look at that number and really analyze what are we using that 40% of our dollar for, putting back into the county for services, for support, for updates, that I think as a county commissioner, we really need to utilize that dollar. We just went through an evaluation. We were kept in the revenue neutral. We didn't lose any money out of that. And so we need to make sure that our budget line items are strong and that our money is going where we need it to be and continue to put into our capital investment.
Mr. White?
Anytime your expenses exceed your income, you're going to have problems. With like city services, are we going to lose the garbage pickup? Are we just going to cut it down to 2 days? That's one of the reasons several years ago the city had to raise taxes, and I know that has been brought up before. But the thing about it is, it was the taxes that our infrastructure in Shelby. Does anybody know how old the water lines are in Shelby? They were put in 1907. They were put in 1904, and they were put in 1910. A couple years ago, we replaced those. What surprised me was part of them were wood. The sewer lines and the water lines were wood. Now, no water lines have been put in Uptown Shelby since 2007. Since 2014. So my question is, you know, we got to keep up our infrastructure. And I don't know if it's from administrations or leadership before, but over 100 years, those water lines have been in there. So that may be the problem we need to straighten out.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. The next question. There are many miles of proposed walking trails located in the unincorporated areas of the county. Perhaps the longest is from South Shelby to the South Carolina line. What, if any, role do you believe the county government should play in public walking trail development, maintenance, and safety? You may use up to 90 seconds to respond, and we will begin this question with Mr. Bridges.
I am not against walking trails, but I really don't think that the county should be responsible. We have a lot of needs in our county. We have a public safety campus that we need to get started. And my concern with walking trails is just what you said: safety, maintenance, and even if we can get a big grant to get this through. I've had a few calls about people that say, you know, I don't want this in my backyard, and it would actually go through some people's yards. But I don't think our sheriff's department is able to maintain 24-hour security on something like this. And I know it's great for the community, and but I'm just not sure that I would be in favor of the county having a role in trying to maintain and have the safety. Thank you.
Ms. Thompson?
I would like to kind of take it further than just the walking trails and bring in the blueways and the greenways too, because Cleveland County has really worked with some of the different river groups to establish some blueways in the upper part of the county through the First Broad. And by supporting some of these efforts for recreational activities, we really get to expand what Cleveland County has to offer from a heritage. And our residents currently say that they want to embrace Cleveland County's heritage and bring individuals to experience what our county and what our communities are about. So I think that as a county commissioner, part of our job is to serve as a liaison for continued local, state, and federal partnerships. And so I think that we should continue to look for funding, grants, and outside nonprofit groups that could help to build, establish, grow, and maintain some of these walking trails, blueways, and greenways that would allow us to bring some individuals and shop in Cleveland County, support our community, support our heritage, and really maybe let that be kind of a niche that we kind of identify with.
Thank you. Mr. White?
I realize people have disagreements and agree on rail trails, and like Doug in the county, they don't actually want to help finance it. But have you ever been to a rail trail town? Some of the towns around Greenville, some of the rail trails, it's just amazing what that does. And it will bring economic development. It's just, I just wish people could see what it is. And I am strongly for the rail trails. I just put that down. Thank you.
And Ms. Harden?
Okay, so I think that having anything that people can go outside and be active is a good thing. It will help our health. It'll help all those things that we're worried about as our bringing our health numbers up. I do have the same, a little bit of the same worry that Doug mentioned about the safety. This is a trail that would go from Shelby all the way to South Carolina. In fact, it would actually go right by near where I live. I could go out my door and get on it. But it is a lot of miles as opposed to like the one in Rutherfordton that I think is 13 miles. You know, I think it's something that could be looked at, but I think the safety is important. I think we do have a lot of good trails to go on, like the Gateway and the Thread Trail and Broad River, and I would kind of like to see more of that developed.
All right, thank you, candidates. On June 30th, 2022, emergency services will all be consolidated into the Cleveland County EMS. Franchises with Upper Cleveland Rescue, Shelby Rescue, and Kings Mountain Rescue will not be renewed. Is this the right move for emergency services in Cleveland County? Why or why not? We begin with Mallory Thompson.
How many seconds do we have for that one?
I'm sorry, 90 seconds. I'm sorry.
When I first heard about the consolidation of the EMS departments, I kind of had to scratch my head. And the first thing that came to mind is I am an Upper Cleveland County resident, and my response time to an emergency, or my neighbor's response time to an emergency, and back down to Shelby to a hospital was of concern. I did not have the opportunity to kind of get to see some of the information as to why this choice was made. Is it the right or wrong choice? I think the future will determine that for us. But what I can say is if elected as a commissioner for the 2023 year, I would work really hard to make sure that the new consolidation of the EMS county unit served all corners of Cleveland County and not by population. We need to make sure that our emergency response services, our law enforcement, cover our county probably by a square mile, because when we get into the rural parts of the county, we don't have the population. And so we really need to make sure that we budget to hire these people at a competitive wage with proper training and skills. I believe that the hospital is looking into some opportunities to bring some new medication onto the ambulances that would allow for better response time or better outcome of an emergency. And really work with our law enforcement and fire department to make sure that this transition is smooth for our emergencies. So if elected as the commissioner, I would work hard to make sure that all corners of the county are staffed with emergency services and that emergency response time is equal for all residents.
My concern is the urgent emergency response time. We have now, the county has talked about cutting 2 cents, but when I heard them cutting different EMS locations, I was concerned about that. My problem is, I mean, they're talking about getting people that are trained on them, but how well do you need to be trained? If you got to be at a hospital or EMS at a certain time, and you might not make it if you're at one central location. And that's my concern, getting the patients to getting the necessary treatment as they need it.
Ms. Harden.
Okay. So this move is going to end up being a very good move. There will be more than one location. There will be 3 ambulances added. There'll be 4 more ambulances added on peak time. You know, hopefully there'll be some negotiations where the county can acquire the assets of the rescue squads. Of course, that is up to the rescue squads. They're their own entity. They're their own separate entity and can do what they want, and it would have to be voted on by their board and then approved by us. But the idea is to give better service. There have been times, I actually experienced it myself with my father, where we got a rescue squad and then they had to call EMS, the county EMS, so we had 2 ambulances instead of 1, and there was all the time in between waiting for them to come. So this is to make everybody get the best they can get when they're called. It will have 1 dispatch. It'll eliminate 2 ambulances going. You'll have the best trained people. We will have the county covered. Right now, people that were worried about in Upper Cleveland did not run 7 days a week, 24/7. So we're already covering it. So we do hope to, you know, all this will work out. And the only thing I can say that I do hate is that when we were presented this professional study and we heard from the medical director, who is a doctor, it was at a work session. And hopefully, oops, okay. My stop sign come out.
I'm sorry, and thank you for stopping on time. Mr. Bridges.
Okay, I too believe this will be a great thing for our county. There have been times when, you know, we send 2 ambulances to an event, and then just 1 goes, and that ties up 2. And I really feel like having 1 chain of command right down the line, and just having 1 entity handling everything, and like Deb said, you know, one of them only does it 2 or 3 days a week, and maybe sometimes the other one doesn't have any 3rd shift coverage, and to take all the resources, put them together, and we're actually going to put more ambulances out. We recently just put a unit in Kaiser, and the first day that it was open, we had a pediatric seizure, and they were treating that child within 2 minutes. So I really feel like we're headed in the right direction. And the reason is to reduce our response time, and to, as Dr. Sanchez at the hospital wants to put a higher level of service on each ambulance, so that the citizens do get better coverage and reduce time throughout the county. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. The next question. Growth is coming to Cleveland County in terms of population and jobs. Many new residential and industrial projects are in development, with more in process. Growth, while desirable, brings new challenges. What, in your view, is the proper role of county government as it relates to dealing with the challenges of infrastructure, as more rapid growth is now more evident in our county? And you may use up to 90 seconds to respond, and we will begin this question with Mr. White.
Infrastructure is a very important part, and it's kind of like when Clearwater came here. The city spent millions and millions of dollars to get gas, water, and sewer. For us to maintain and to build our city and the infrastructure and the streets like we need to continue to develop, raise money, grants, well, any way possible to continue to get infrastructure and get water lines, sewer lines to different areas of the town. And the more we get, the better it's going to be, because we've got a lot of houses on the planning board here, and we don't want to fall short. Thank you.
Ms. Harden.
Okay, I think for the economic development and the growth, partnerships is an important thing. The county and the city has partnered together on several shell buildings. Even the Accelerate Cleveland County program was partnered with the industries to help these people train to get a good paying job. I think when you partner and you work together, we can handle any of the challenges that we need to meet with the new industry coming to the county.
Thank you. Mr. Bridges.
I agree. I think we're poised for growth. We were so upset in 2016 when we were called a dying county. So we as commissioners got busy and we worked really hard on economic development. And now, in the past year, we've went over 100,000. There were only 4 counties in the country last year that went over 100,000, and we were one of those 4. And I think we're poised for growth. I think we're looking at the EMS, the Sheriff's Department, and our infrastructure, and we're ready for it and looking forward to it, planning for it. Thank you.
And Ms. Thompson.
Cleveland County's growth is probably one of the main reasons why I decided to run for county commissioner. Over the past few years, I think Cleveland County is really becoming a county that's a 2-in-1. We've got our main metropolitan areas between Kings Mountain, Boiling Spring, and Shelby, and then we've got our rural areas. And our populations in both of those areas are split about 50-50. Depending on how our economic growth kind of goes or where it grows at, we could really change what the current resident wants our outlooks and our backdrops to be. So I think as a county commissioner, our role and our responsibility is to highlight the most advantageous places that we can put our industrial and job growth, as well as looking at where we can preserve and keep Cleveland County kind of historic to our heritage. In 2021, the current sitting commissioners adopted a new land use plan, and I think that that land use plan is what we should look at for where our economic development should go, and where we should really keep some of our rural, some of our ag, some of our preservation land intact to really keep what our current resident wants. I think when it comes to economic growth, we really need to look at when we bring individuals from the outside into our county, when we bring their here, we potentially change who we are here. And so my kind of intention for running for county commissioner is to have a voice for all Cleveland County, the other 55% of the residents, as to what they want to see for economic growth.
Thank you, candidates. Taking pride in our quality of life, in recent years, county commissioners have made some efforts to help the littering of roads around the county, even though the county is not legally obligated to be in the business of helping with roads or road right-of-ways. Do you think more can and should be done by county government as relates to dealing with what I think most people would say is a real problem of litter strewing our highways? You have up to 60 seconds for this question. We begin with Deb Harden.
Yes, and we are currently doing that. We have a litter hotline. You can go online if you have a road that needs to be cleared up. You can contact us. You can call, or you can, like I said, you can go online. We are also working to doing some educational programs to in the school system, because if your child tells you not to litter, you're probably not going to litter. So, and we have to start with the children. It is a problem. Like I said, we are addressing that with, we have crews that go out to the roads when you call in. I have went by one on a Saturday that I don't know what had happened, but it was like a whole truck had just dumped things out. And of course, I immediately called, and it was picked up, you know. And it wasn't because of being a commissioner, it was going through the line in the process. We want to see our county cleaned.
Mr. Bridges?
The first phone calls I got when I was first appointed county commissioner were about trash on the side of the roads. And I kept going into the office and saying, Brian, they all getting all these calls. And finally one day, you know, they're bragging about Charlotte's backyard. I said, Brian, Charlotte's backyard is filthy. And the next week or so, he called a company and they started picking up trash. And in the first 9 months, I think, they were bragging that they had picked up 12 tons of trash. And I said, that's wonderful, but the worst part is that's 24,000 pounds that our citizens threw on the ground. So we are, as Deb said, we're trying to get in some education and stuff, because I feel like if we get the children to say, Mommy, you're not supposed to throw that cup out the window, maybe that would help. But it is a problem, and I really hope we can do something about it.
Ms.
Thank
Thompson?
I'd like to say, you know, as a county commissioner, it is our job to kind of enact local ordinances. So while it's not our job to be kind of the litter police. It is our job to make sure that littering doesn't happen because it can be fined. But I think working with our groups that contract for mowing, kind of seeing what they can do about picking up our litter, working with our dump sites, recycling centers across the county, making sure that they're accessible, making sure that their dumpsters are empty, and making sure that they're accepting the trash that comes. I know we've had some issues in the county that we're not really allowing people to dump. They get frustrated, they leave, and they go dump it on the side of the road. So making sure that our individuals know where that trash should go and how to handle that accordingly. But I think we need to start with some of our contracted partners first.
Mr. White?
I think it has cost millions of dollars to keep our streets, our highways clean. I don't know, I remember years ago they had a commercial, Smokey the Bear, with a tear running down his face, and there was trash everywhere. We need to train our people, and like you said, the people who mow, they need to keep a bag with them to keep constantly picking it up and let that be part of their job description.
Very good. Thank you, candidates. This is our last question of the evening. County Commissioners set the Cleveland County Schools tax rates must provide for necessary capital expenditures. In light of that, what do you see as the appropriate relationship between elected commissioners and the public school system? You may use up to 60 seconds to respond, and we will begin this question with Mr. Bridges.
Thank you. I think education is probably the most important thing that a county does. It's the old adage, the children are our future. That's true. And we need to make sure that we have a more than adequate education. We need to have a good education. Not every child needs to go to college, but we need to give them all the tools and the preparation so they can decide to go into a trade or go to a college or something. So for that reason, I think it's very important that the county work with the schools in a partnership that makes sure they have adequate funds. And adequate may be different to different people, but we need to make sure they have the tools, the money they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Thompson.
I think as a county commissioner in relationship to the public schools and the school board, it's our responsibility to make sure that the budgets are in line with each other, that what the county can allow is also what the school board needs. And I think it goes a little bit further than even infrastructure of a school building for a child to have a good atmosphere in learning. We need to make sure that our children today have access to the technology that they need inside the classroom, but also access to the technology that they need at home. If we're doing projects at home, if we're going to purchase Chromebooks, iPads for our kids to take home, they really need to be able to utilize them educationally at home with broadband internet. And that's something that the county can do to support the public schools. As an elected commissioner, though, we're working alongside another elected board. They are elected to focus on schools. We are elected to focus on county government. And we really need to work together and listen to each other's needs. And I think that that is what will help us build our infrastructure, build our students into a very competitive education and a career later down the path.
We need to build our relationships greatly with the school board. They do a great job, and I just hope we can continue to teach and add and grow as we have in the past. And I just thank for them. But what I want to do, I would love to build a great relationship with our school board and with all the entities in the town, in the city, in the county. Thank you.
Ms. Harden.
Yes, we have a long-term funding program we have been working toward that would meet not only capital needs, but to help with supplements for the teachers. We do need to work with our school board to make all this, to have the money there and have them, help them get prepared for their budget too. As even though with things coming up with them, even if they're closing some schools in years to come, they may need to open or they may need capital funds to build on. And we have plans working toward funding that program so that it can be done when the time is needed.
Mr. Bridges? Oh, you've already.
I think I answered that one,
You started,
sir.
didn't you?
We started there.
It won't be the last mistake I make. This concludes the question portion of the forum. We will now give each candidate up to 1 minute to make a closing statement, and we're back to where we started. Ms. Thompson, you will begin.
Our top economic resources are people. And if as county commissioners we focus on our people, we focus on the needs, we focus on the quality of life, we will become a desirable county for people to want to move in and live at. As a first time for public office, I think it's important that you understand from me that I support law enforcement, I support our fire department, I support our EMS, and I support funding them with the tools that they need to be able to do their job adequately. I am a person of low taxes because I'm a young person. I want to see our county use all resources that we can as far as our relationships as commissioners to state and local line items and make sure that we're using our dollars accordingly. I want to see our community college really grow and develop and put good young people out into our career force. And I want to see our farmers in our county and those that desire to have a rural background have that opportunity for life. I think our quality of life improves when we go outside and when we enjoy the county that we live in.
Mr. White.
Having been on city council 11 years, I have learned much about the great city and the county. I have developed many lasting relationships and would be given, if I would be given the opportunity. I have experienced and proven ability to partnership with multiple agencies, entities, to the role in the county commissioner. I will focus on economic development and job creation. The city and the county has joined forces to bring the Foothills Commerce Center in Clearwater, to mention a few, which has brought many high-paying jobs. If you build relationships, if you get along, everything else will fall in place. Nobody needs an agenda. Everybody needs to work together. And that's what I'm after. After many years of serving on various councils and boards, public and private, I have learned to work with people on getting things done. I would appreciate your vote at the Public Library May 17th. And we do need to focus on our future.
Ms. Harden.
From a dying county in 2016 to topping 100,000 in the census released in 2021, Cleveland County continues to prosper. Even with prosperity, we still have work to do. Public safety is of utmost importance. New construction added a new EMS base in Kaiser. The very first day, the 911 received a call of a pediatric seizure, and the response time was 2 minutes. Open market for commercial waste haulers is now a reality, ending a one-hauler franchise. 16 haulers now participate in a competitive market. Economic development from December of 2018 to 2021 was over $265 million and created over 1,000 new jobs. County taxes were cut 3.25 cents below revenue neutral after the revow in 2020. I would like to thank the citizens of Cleveland County for trusting me to serve this term. I am hopeful with your votes and support to continue working for you, making Cleveland County a better place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Mr. Bridges.
In 2016, our county was classified as a dying county by the UNC School of Government. Likely, we would continue to decline for the next 10 to 15 years. But with job creation, business-friendly policies, we changed this narrative. The 2020 census showed that Cleveland County was only one of 37 counties in North Carolina that experienced growth. We've added 1,200 jobs and issued over 3,000 new building permits. But still, we've got much work to do. COVID-19 took its toll on our economy as it did nationwide. About 1/3 of our children are living in poverty, and that's more than before the pandemic. Housing is unaffordable for many, and too many citizens can't receive broadband. We need an added commitment to law enforcement and first responders. We've weathered a pandemic, recruited new jobs, adopted a land use plan, and cut taxes. We've made our county stronger, but still there's work to do. Please vote Doug Bridges for Cleveland County Commissioner in the May primary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates. We would like to thank each of the candidates for participating in this forum. Special thanks go to the forum's sponsoring organizations, C19 TV, Cleveland Community College, the Cleveland County Chamber of Commerce, close to my heart, and the Star. We would also like to thank the students in the broadcasting program at Cleveland Community College for broadcasting and recording this event.
Before I do my final remarks, I do want to remind those who are watching us either live or on the internet or on C19 TV, there are no Democratic candidates in Cleveland County this year for county commissioner. The two winners of the four you see here will be the next commissioners. So if you are an unaffiliated voter or a Republican voter, I hope you will go vote. In a way never like never before, your vote really counts in this primary, so I hope that you will go and vote. So finally, we want to thank everyone who attended the forum, or everyone who is viewing it on Spectrum Channel 19 or online on www.c19.tv. Your vote on Tuesday, May 17th, or during early voting, will make a difference in our children's life and in the future of our county. Thank you, and good night to all.